My name is John Arthur Leonard. I am currently the board chairman for the Ward Foundation in Salisbury, Maryland. The Ward Foundation was started back in the late 1960s as a way to preserve the heritage of the Eastern Shore in the form of wildfowl art. There was a group of men that were concerned that the art form was not going to survive, so they formed the Ward Foundation to preserve the heritage of the decoys that were made on the Eastern Shore and around the country.
The Ward Foundation Wildfowl Carving Championships. We've got entries from all over the world here, and birds that are from all over the world. Right now we're looking at the life-size, world class, where the best in the world carvings are entered for their World Championship. We've got a number of different birds that are here. We're going to give you an overview of what's at this show. As we're looking over these birds, right now they have no names on them to tell us who the artist was. Those names will not be posted until this evening at 5 o'clock when we do our award ceremony. We don't want anybody to know who the winners are in this category until that moment. So we have a big reveal with all 6 of our world categories. Right now we're looking at an ocellated turkey, which comes from, the real bird comes from central Mexico. This is a carving done by, we don't know who because we haven't laid the ribbons out yet. That doesn't happen until this evening. It's just amazing. We have birds in this category from all over the world. I see a pair of jacamars from Central America. We have a hermit hummingbird, and that's from Central America. We have elfowl from southwestern United States. We also have a burrowing owl, which in this Texas comes from Texas right there. And we have a couple of birds that are called blue tits, and they come from Europe. So we've got a lot of different variety of birds in this category. So I think we'll get you and get to look at some of them rather tight right now and get you to see some of the details in these. We're looking at world pairs. This year the designation is Canada Goose because of the 50th anniversary of the Ward Foundation, and our logo bird of the Ward Foundation is a Canada Goose done by Lem Ward back in 1960s. This is what we wanted to do this year, was do nothing but Canada geese. So that's the designation, and generally we have 2 birds, a male and a female. Being Canada geese, male and female look the same, and because they're so big, what we have done is we've only made them carve 1 bird. But there's 9 different subspecies of Canada geese, so we go from very small to very large, because they go from the minimal size of a cackling goose, which is only about 4 pounds, and to the giant Canada goose, which can be 25 pounds. We float these in the water, and we judge them in the water. And that is a throwback to what the contests all used to start with. Way back when decoy contests started back in the 1920s, they were all floated in tubs or in creeks or bays or anything that was around, because they were made as a hunting decoy. And we have kept that to bring forward with this whole thing. So they have to float like a real bird, they have to look like the real bird on the water, and they also have to be detailed, like a real bird. We are at our next world-class contest, and these are going to be floating birds also. Now these birds are called trios. We call them shooting rig. The designation is they have to have a pair of birds, a male and a female, and then the third bird in the category can be anything you want. And they take these and they'll float them out in the bay. Out here on Assawoman Bay, Sinapatuxent Bay, behind the convention center, and that's where the final judgment is made. You can see that one category here, we have a pair of Barrow's Golden Eyes, and we also have its third bird of a Harlequin drake. So the Barrow's Golden Eyes themselves are from the west coast, and the Harlequin, and by looking at it, I can see that the paint line on it is correct for a West Coast Harlequin, whereas we have a different looking Harlequin on the East Coast. So, and every one of them is a little bit different. Like here we have a pair of canvasbacks with a redhead drake. So we're trying to figure out, people put out their favorite birds, carve their pair, and then they put out their favorite confidence bird or another bird that goes with it. So, but this whole table is nothing but floating birds. So it's something interesting to see them all. Like this is our last world-class category. This is our single gunner. These are made as hunting decoys, and they're supposed to be remaining simple. This is a category that when I retired as chairman of the board, they gave this category to me with my name on it, and denoted it, in my name. So it's listed as not a memorial yet, but when I'm gone, this will be a memorial. But it's just for single gunning decoys. This is for a lot of people who are just beginning, we like to think, or who can make a decoy that keeps it very simple. We don't want a lot of feather carving. We don't want a lot of overwork and painting. But I think we have 18 birds in this category, and you're allowed to enter one bird at a time. That's all. So we've got a lot of wonderful work in here too. And I feel very honored that they made it with my name on it. This is World Interpretive Wood Sculpture. Everything in here is to be made out of wood with a cravat of maybe 5% metal, and that 5% metal is allowed for structural purposes. Everything in here is supposed to be stylized. It's what you see in the wood itself. To bring a bird out of the wood is what this is all about. All depending on how you view it, how you see it, you let the wood be your choice and let your wood be your guide of what you see in the whole thing. Yeah, this is what I have in reference to is interpretive. The person who did this looks like they took a piece of driftwood, or they found a piece of looks like mesquite, and they've made a merganser chasing a trout. And I guess the form to them just looked perfectly like a merganser, and then they included that with the fish. What it makes is a beautiful arc, so that's kind of cool. We're walking into Edgar Allan Poe. We have a raven on a skull on a stack of books. I can just remember the quote the raven nevermore. Interesting thing. I would like to know what the artist was thinking when they did this one. A piece of spalted wood. You can see all the spalt. Spalted wood is formed by insect damage. What happens is the insect gets in and creates a spot where the water can get in. The minerals from the water start to spread and makes these different colors in the wood. We have a nightjar. Obviously, you can see it right here. That they call them frogmouth. And obviously you can tell that because it's got a big yap. But it's in the nightjar family. We see them a lot of nighthawks and Chuck Will's widows here on the Eastern Shore. Beautiful little birds. And we have a fossil. This is interesting too. We have a falcon up on the stones. You see a lot of these stone formations. People do that now, where they try to balance, and that's what this is trying to do. Is doing the whole balance of everything. It's outstanding to see something like that because of, it's one block of wood. It looks like walnut here. You can see the size of the tree. Yep, a phoenix. I like how they have the wings looking like flames. So these are master sculptors. We also have interpretive classes in our other categories. This is our world class, of course. We have it in our master's class. We have it in our advanced, intermediate, and novice classes. We all have interpretive classes. So people who are just getting started in it can come up the ladder through the whole thing. anchor with the parrot. That ties it in with the ocean, ties it in with sea captains or whatever with their parrots. So beautiful piece of work you can see out of one base, they've carved, the anchor and then put the bird on top. This probably is out of one piece of wood. So it's a real big reduction on the whole thing. They've carved a chain, could be a chain that had been lost at sea or lost on the bank because it's showing the parrot on it. We're standing here in front of the masters categories. To be a master, you have to have placed at the world level. As soon as you have placed at the world level, either first, second, or third, you are designated as a master carver. And you're not allowed to go back into the advanced carvings at all. You have to compete at the master level. This I find is really fun to judge. I judged this yesterday, and what we picked overall in life size was this great horned owl, which is a beautiful piece of work. I did all the life size pieces, both the birds of prey, songbirds, and that's all. We don't have any. We had one shorebird, the Cummerat. We also have another category in masters, and that is the floating decoys, of which they do float them. So it mirrors our world categories. I'm standing in front of our other masters category, and this is interpretive wood sculpture. I've already showed you the interpretive world category. This is just for the masters category. These are some of the best interpretive pieces in the world too. You can see we got a huge raven and into a screech owl, all sorts of different ideas in this. And this is just out of wood. So beautiful stuff to see. Now we're at one of our feeder categories for the world level, and this is the advanced level. And I'm standing in front of the advanced interpretive. They're out of a single block of wood, and people carve whatever they see inside of them. This is stuff that feeds our world class categories, and then obviously our masters class. So we do have interpretive, we have miniatures, we have life size, and we have floating decoys, all in these advanced levels. It mirrors every other competition that we have in here. We have the advanced, we have the intermediate, and we also have the novice class. Here in front of the advanced level carvings, and we're looking at some of the life-size pieces that are out on the table. These are all the way up through here. You can see them, they go all the way up to a swimming penguin, which is unusual. We are right here at the advanced table. We're standing in front of the life size, and you can see we have birds of passerines, if you will. We have 3 different categories of passerines, which are songbirds. We get into birds of prey. We get into shorebirds, and we get into waterfowl, all on one table, and it goes all the way to the top. And these are all carvings by people that we don't enter the world class or aren't designated as masters yet. But to move up from this category, you have to have won 2 best of shows before you're really expected to move up. Once you make that move, you can never come back. So this is a feeder for our masters and world class levels. So the competition is very stiff, and it's beautiful work because they've got to be able to do the best work in the world. And this is something that I feel is very important for everybody to see. The Ward Foundation does this, and we've been doing this for 50 years with this contest. And we've been doing it longer than that with the museum, when we had the museum. We want to continue with the competition because it's something that means so much to so many people. We don't want anything to happen to it. We have a great crowd of people coming here from all over the world to both compete and also to see the work. We want this whole thing to move forward. So what we're going to do as the Ward Foundation, being that is our trademark name, we'll be doing fundraisers over the course of years and trying to get enough money in to continue doing these things. And we will be doing these things. This is something we have a commitment with so many people to keep going. And so many people have that feeling that they have to continue this. And you know, the decoy contests themselves started back in 1923, I think is the earliest one I've ever seen, and that was up on Long Island. People, then it was an organized thing. The earliest one I've ever found was 1876, and that 1876 came out of the Smithsonian. They had a decoy contest, of which a fellow by the name of Ben Holmes won. The last time we had this at the Smithsonian, I think it was in 2006. I think there were 36 of us invited to participate at the Smithsonian as a decoy contest. So from 1876 to 2006, or somewhere in that line, you can see that things might have changed a little bit. But 36 of us came in with decoys and we floated them on the mall. A great honor to be involved with that. All right, we are standing in front of the intermediate table, and these are floating birds. All of these decoys are made as decoratives, in as much as all the feathers are carved, all the feathers are textured, and each feather is individually painted. So we're looking at some of the ones that have won in this category. And you know, we have a common loon here, and alongside of it is a grebe, and this grebe won the category of best of division. And what that division is goose and confidence decoys. We have three different divisions in this category, if you will. We have puddle ducks, which are all floating ducks that feed on the surface. We have diving ducks, which are all diving ducks that feed underwater, and then we have goose and confidence. And that's what these things are. And each one of those we go with each class, whether it be black ducks, blue-winged teal, cinnamon teal. We have a first, second, and third with honorable mentions. And then when we get to the final, we have all of the puddle ducks together, all the first places together, and they get designated as first, second, and third in that division. And then we put them aside, and then when we do the diving ducks, we pick out each one in species, first, second, and third honorable mention. And then we go and put all the first place birds in, and then we pick out the first, second, and third best diving ducks, put them aside, do the same thing with our goose and confidence category, and then we put them all together, all the first places together at one time to pick out our best of show. And we do a best of show, a second best of show, and a third best of show. So people have a chance to walk away with 3 different ribbons in this category, in every category that we do, in the advanced, intermediate, or novice. So we're standing in front of the table that we call palm frowns. The palm frown is a thing that comes off a palm tree out in California. That's where most all of these are coming from. And way back when, in the turn of the 1800s, 1900s, they used to take these palm frowns and they would make decoys out of them. So within the past few years, people have taken these frowns and they use them as the base. And what people are supposed to be doing with them is accenting on the frond itself to show the form of the frond, but use that form in the sculpture, if you will. So you'll run into things like this pigeon, or the toucan, and they're using that frond as the base of the bird. It's something. It's kind of glitchy, but it's something that's fun for a lot of people to compete in. It's fun to see what people can come up with, or what they see inside of palm frowns. We're standing in front of a different category completely. These don't have feathers. They've got scales. We're doing the fish category here. We have a number of different categories for just fish, both freshwater and saltwater. As you can see right here, there's a snakehead. I mean, it's one ugly fish, but boy, when you carve it and look at the paint job on it, it's phenomenal. Wow, it's just something to see. Just like the brook trout and the Arctic char. It's just outstanding to see all the colors and how people can render the scales and do all the fish on it. I mean, all the painting on them. We, like I said, we have salt water, we have fresh water, we even have a mammal. There's a whale in this category also. So this is something, we're not just birds. We're not just birds, we're trying to encompass many different categories, many different animals and fish, if you will. One thing we don't have a whole lot of is mammals, so we haven't gotten that far yet. But nonetheless, these are some of the best fish in the world. There's beautiful things. The workmanship that goes into these things is just outstanding. And we have quite a few of these people on the Eastern Shore that do these things, and they come from all over the country, for that matter. We're outside Sinapatuxent Bay and looking at some of the decoy judging that we do out here in the Sinapatuxent Bay. We're doing the open category at the moment with floaters. We've got the judges sitting on the barge, and they're judging them at a distance to see which one works best as a decoy. Floating, what colors come through, making sure everything works out right for a hunting decoy. We've got a number of things. This really is our future. Seeing these birds out on the water like this ties it back into when we used to use these nothing but for hunting. And people are trying to keep that art form alive. We're at the Ward Foundation, we're trying to keep the art form alive. We're trying to keep everybody coming here to Ocean City, to Salisbury, wherever, to see decoys, see carvings, see wildlife art, and trying to keep the heritage alive. The only way we can do it is with you. We need you to come help us, become a member of the Ward Foundation, become a volunteer of the Ward Foundation. We would welcome you to come and help us. And you'll fit right in with a lot of people. This is something that we need to keep alive. We have worked at it for well over 50 years. We are no longer associated with Salisbury University since they have taken the museum from us. And we don't have to worry about that anymore, but right now we want to keep the art form alive. So we are going to be readjusting in the next few months, probably the next few years, to try to put it all together. But nonetheless, we're all committed to keeping the art form alive, keeping the heritage alive. And we want you all to join us and keep this alive. This contest like this and the other one that we do in the fall, the Chesapeake Challenge, is too important to lose. There's too many people that come from all over the country to both compete and or view. So I welcome you to come and visit with us, come and be with us. The fellows who put the Ward Foundation together, back in 1968, they had a vision, and I think it's up to all of us to keep that vision alive, because this is the only place where in the country where we have this type of things going on. This is the biggest contest that there is in the country and has been in the country, and well, actually the world. So keeping it alive is paramount. So I do welcome you to come and do it. All you have to do is look us up, find a board member, find somebody who's involved, and we will be in the forefront. We will let you know what we're looking for and how we're looking for it. So please come